enrollment's going down.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Big deal.
No.
All communities got to be in the same boat. It's just a matter of time.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're looking at cuts and they're trying to figure out where to come up with that kind of money.
I hate the whole cut thing. Yes, it is right here. You are here, sir. I'll move my stuff. Well, I don't even have to plug some of this.
Referendums that are out there.
There's like a minutes, and I was trying. Well, no, it's okay. I was trying to.
But I always rate our park right up to the top of everything. We got the nice one.
I know.
I walked that park through the Weber Park every night when she had the luminary out.
Wasn't it lovely with the moon?
Nice.
It was so beautiful.
And I was, the first night, Friday was cold. I bundled up, leaned it on right. Sunday was fantastic.
Did you get to this link? Because I tried to link to it and I couldn't.
Well,
I did, yeah, I looked at it.
We had
the other day.
Take it to
So it didn't work out of the agenda, but there's a follow-up email sent
Oh,
after that.
Well, you would love our.
from Amy?
Yep.
Are you ready? Yes.
Sorry.
Like a Monday or
Here, you can use this.
Monday.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Today, it's 5:30 p.m. Today is Wednesday, March 13th, and here we are at the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Committee. Thanks for joining. We're at the 2nd Street Community Center. I'd like to go right to item 2, which is the approval of minutes from February 14th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jane, second by Randy. Any discussion or questions on minutes? Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Would anybody like to declare a conflict of interest for tonight's meeting based on the agenda? No. We are moving on to public comment. I see nobody here from the public wishing to make a comment. We are right on to item number 5, which is our forestry annual report. And we have Mark here, the city forester. Welcome.
Thanks, John. We'll get right into it then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Forestry annual update. So going back, we'll start with Arbor Day in, I think it was late April, early May. We had Grant Elementary School come over to Brain Park and help us plant trees where we had harvested the ash trees out of there. Really great celebration and gathering, getting the students involved and helping us replant the area. I think we have close to 100 students, and the area that we planted was the upper left section, stand 1B, and I think we had volunteers from Rotary down there helping out, along with the DNR and then our Parks and Rec staff. And so we planted 140 trees and 10 different species. Really great time. So we will see how the plantings do after the drought we kind of had last year. So going to go in there this summer and see what survived, what didn't, and then restock it as needed. And that's kind of the finished product of what that area looks like. So, emerald ash borer update. I am seeing quite a bit more of ash trees infected with ash borer this year throughout the whole city. This winter, cutting in Brain Park, we saw quite a bit in there. And then, like I said, just sporadically throughout town, really started to notice it. These are 2 trees over by the UW campus. These have been infected for 2 years now, but kind of what you're looking for is just the grayish to white bark sloughing off the tree, D-shaped holes in the bark, woodpecker holes, thin canopies in the summers, and just a lot of suckers on the tree. So I would imagine in the next 2 to 3 years you're going to really see it start showing up in town here. So I would advise, I mean, if you have an ash tree in your yard or anybody you know, really consider either getting it treated or look at a removal option for it. As far as from the city standpoint goes, we have roughly 250 trees in our terraces between the road and sidewalk and our parks that we actively treat. And that's on a, you do it every other year, so we split that in half. So we treat about 125 a year. Just for reference, this is a picture shown of how the injection process works. We take a diameter reading, and then based off of that, it tells us how many holes we have to drill into the base of the tree and then how much insecticide to inject. So fully closed system, yeah. Moving into our plantings, we planted 131 trees last year. 37 of them were through a grant that we received through the DNR, so that was pretty awesome. And then this kind of just represents throughout the city where we planted all those trees. A majority of those trees that were planted with the grant were along Veterans Parkway going out of town to the northwest there. And so those were in the median to try and beautify the entrance to the city, and then also over time hopefully get that canopied covered and to try and create a calming effect to slower traffic speeds. And so, yeah. Oh, I also want to, the park staff is a huge help with that, with planting those trees. So definitely want to thank them for helping with that. Couldn't do it without them. As far as removals goes, we removed 84 trees within the city, and these are trees that are either deemed hazardous or have to come out due to construction projects. So, not too bad. We're still planting more trees than we're removing, so that's a step in the right direction. As far as pruning goes, we pruned 582 trees this winter, and that was mostly on the south side and the southeast side there of town. And in regards to the removals and the pruning, the street department is a huge help. I mean, they primarily handle all those removals and all that pruning in the wintertime. So, again, very thankful for that staff. Special projects. Throughout the year, you may have noticed that Hamas Park looks a little different if you've been out there. We rented this machine and were able to remove 10 acres of buckthorn, is approximately what we cleared out there. And behind the scenes, Dan Umfaver is kind of the man leading the charge on that. So he's going to help us replant that. We have about 100 trees that we're going to replant in there, and then also manage the buckthorn and try to do a little bit more control as that stuff goes. This is kind of just a picture of the western half. You can see the trail on the left-hand side there. If you've walked that trail, I mean, that was basically like a tunnel you were walking through out there. So it really opened it up. Again, that was primarily buckthorn. I mean, I would drive into an area and it was almost like a tunnel and it would get black. It was over the top of the cab and everything. So a picture of the back half. So really changed the way that looks out there and opened it up. So the Brain Park, year 3, ash removals. We focused on stand 1C. It's the central portion between where the two creeks in there, the blue lines. Definitely a little different winter working conditions this year. This was after 1 or 2 days of cutting in there, just to kind of open up the area. But this was middle of January already that we started this. We had to postpone the start date a little bit, just to let the ground firm up a little bit more. All those trees in the back you see will be gone. Here's the crew working. We got snow finally, and it cooled off. But basically, we just we focus on the section. We drop the tree, we limb it up, and then we cut out a designated length logs out of them, and then chip all the brush and stack the wood in piles. And there's kind of the finished product. That's that same view. Those front 2 piles are the same 2 from that first picture that I showed. So it definitely opened it up quite a bit. We try to auction off the logs, and we did not sell all. We had 17 piles, and we only sold 3 of them. A lot of comments we got were that it was too soft, and people were concerned about going in there and rutting it up. So the plan is we're just going to let the logs sit there, and then next December we're going to open up the auction process again, and once that freezes up, then in January we're going to let people go back in there. And so hopefully we get a good winter and it does freeze, and so we shouldn't have any issues getting rid of it then. So all the trees that you do see removed out of there, those are either ash trees or dead trees. So we really do every effort to try and save whatever's not ash in there. And so this is just kind of showing that, I mean, we've got a big oak on the left-hand side. This box elder, some people would consider it a weed tree, but even we're trying to keep those species in there as well. So, and that was it's a very cool tree. I mean, it's almost horizontal growing, so kind of unique. And then one of our park staff really liked the cedar on the right-hand side. So we really put forth an effort to try and save every tree that we can in there. So, as far as other forestry news goes, upcoming, we're going to have Arbor Day. Even though the logs didn't sell, we're still going to host Arbor Day in there. We can strategically place the plantings where people will still be able to get in and come and take the logs out next winter. So we're planning on doing that May 2nd, 2024, just in probably 2 months here coming up. Amanda's helping me organize that. So a lot of planning going into that. We are always looking for group leaders, so plug for any of the committee here if they want to come and volunteer and help plant down there and lead the students around. So
Jane's retired now. So.
Yeah.
What day is May 2nd? Is that?
It's a Thursday. And usually it's in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So
I'll-
no pressure.
No.
So.
I-
But,
she'll bring cookies.
Yeah.
I can probably trade with somebody. Okay. So.
It's, like I
You
said,
can just email me, that's fine.
Okay.
it's really fun. The kids get there, we kind of do a little spiel about Arbor Day, the history of it, the benefits of planting trees, what's going on in the park, and then, like I said, we just let them loose. You try to corral them, but it's kind of a madhouse for the next like 30 minutes, and so
It does go way faster than you think.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun. It really is. So looking forward to that. Trees and construction, been working with the engineering department on just pre-planning our construction projects going forward. And that's looking at trees that we're trying to save or either are going to cause an impediment in the construction process. So, but also getting trees incorporated into the plans for planting them back and figuring out how to do that. So, and putting an emphasis on strategically placing them, so the next time we have to replace the road, that hopefully we can save a lot of these trees, or a lot of them don't have to come out because of trenching or lateral replacements. So that's a step in the right direction, definitely. And there is another grant opportunity through the DNR. It's a federal grant that is a no-match grant, but there are some stipulations with it. I always forget the word, but it's like deprived areas of communities that it has to be used in, and so you have to really show how your project is going to benefit those areas. Some cities, their whole city is considered that, where ours, it's just a certain section. So coming up with the project in that area, like I said, and really showing how it benefits is kind of the tricky point right now, but definitely looking at that as a way to try and get some more trees into our community. And so that's kind of the forestry update in a nutshell. So,
Mark,
are there any questions?
Questions for Mark?
Nice job.
Yeah.
I got a couple. I always have a couple. I'm sorry.
No, no.
So, is there ever going to be an opportunity? Do you think? And I think you guys are doing a great job with Bram, and much needed to clear that ash out of there. Obviously, what's happening. Would there be an opportunity through grants or other funding to plant maybe some more mature trees in there? that are a little further along that we might see maybe in our lifetimes?
I think there's probably some opportunities there. The grant that we received this last year for planting on the terraces, that would be a grant that we could apply for. They definitely favor replacing ash trees in communities, so absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. Are there any ash trees in Bram Park that you are going to treat, or are we getting rid of all of them?
So,
essentially,
some of the trees that we first designated, like with the disc golf course, as obstacles, we were looking at treating those, and then after taking a second look at them, because when you start treating a tree, you have to continue to treat it. I mean, if you stop treat, it's not a one and done. And so, the structure of the trees that we were really trying to just save for the obstacle of something being there, looked at the structure of the tree, and it's like, that's not the greatest tree to begin with. And so, actually in this last section, there were 4 trees that we were planning to treat, and instead, we ended up going in there and we limbed them up and then cut them back down to about a 15, 20-foot height, and then girdled the bottom of the tree. And so it's acting as still an obstacle for the course. There still are some that we are going to treat still, because they are nice ash trees, and they are serving a purpose as an obstacle for the course.
And how much do you think it costs to treat, let's say, a single average ash tree? An average is big.
Like typically, it's about $10 an inch. So if you have a 20-inch ash tree, $200, and that's a.
And by that you mean diameter?
Yes,
okay.
At 4.5 feet above ground.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
I'm asking for personal reasons. I have a very large.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did, because.
Very large ash tree. Yeah.
I mean, like you said, if it's $200, yes, that's, it's a considerable amount of money, but if you, look at it as an annual basis, $100.
Yep.
And if that ash tree is in the center of your front yard, providing your tree shade, that's a lot of value. I'm sure you've wasted $100 in worse ways.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, but, if it's off to the side or on your, side of the house that's leaning towards it, or maybe not very big, that's where, I would kind of lean towards probably removing that and replacing that. So, but if you, like I said, if you have a centerpiece tree that you're never going to get it to that size again in your lifetime. Right. So it might be worth looking at that.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Very much appreciated.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, we can move on to item 6, which is our corp final review. Justin.
City staff, we had an extensive review. I think they received probably close to 150 comments or suggestions or edits to the corp. They implemented it, they sent it back to us probably late February, early March, and hopefully you guys got a chance to see the final product. If there's any last minute changes, I'm sure we can implement them, but for the most part it's going to be at its final stages. So what I'm going to do is give you one more shot at it. If you have any comments tonight, I can take them. If not, you can always review them and get them back to me. I won't send in my edits until after I get back. I'll be gone next week on vacation, so when I return from vacation, so you guys got an extra week to continue to review. But if there's something that you have either questions on or comments on or thoughts, just send them my way and I'll get them to the consultants. But the corp is at its final stages, and it was a long journey to get there. We started this with our park audits, if you guys remember. We had to visit all the parks, review them, investigate them. We also did some of our policy review in preparation of this to see if the policies, I really don't think they melded to the corp, but our audits definitely did. And so thank you guys for a lot of time and effort that went into this.
Yeah, I think it's important for the public to know, that this document is really a guiding, kind of planning document. It's If there's mention in the document that, a suggestion that there would be a playground put in Weber Park, that doesn't mean that's going to happen. I think, I don't know that that's the best place for a playground in the middle of a nature park. So I think it's important for people to understand that that's really the suggestion is that we need more playgrounds on the west side of town, and that may be a possibility. So I thought it was well done. The one question I have is, and I read it, but I might have skipped a part or two. Is there quite a bit of mention about maintenance of trails in the core plan at all?
No,
Yeah, I didn't.
not much maintenance of trails, but that's been a focus of ours. The staff, probably in the last year, has identified the various trail sections that require maintenance and then developing a plan to try to address that in the next couple of years. We definitely are starting to see some wear and tear on our.
Definitely. I think it, and maybe go back to Blake just to ask him, hey, can we include maybe a small section in there or just a blurb? Because, I think it's important to have that in case there ever are grants that become available. We can at least reference back to the core plan, to say it's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll definitely.
Okay.
Well, number one, I'll review it to see if it was missed, and then number two, if it was missed, I'll
Yeah.
make sure it's mentioned.
All right, thanks. Anybody else? All right. There's no action item on this. It's we're good to go. Okay. We are moving along to reports section, and we can start with recreation.
Okay.
Amanda.
Try to make it short and sweet. I have a lot here, but I'll just do the highlighted stuff. So we got approval to hire a senior coordinator, so the application is out for that until mid-April or so. Got a little bit extra interest generated as of today, so that's good. Been kind of scraping by in the senior center without a senior coordinator. Let's see. Mark mentioned Arbor Day programming. For the winter, I pretty much doubled most of the programming that's existed in the past by just adding one instructor, so it wasn't a huge cost, but there's extra revenue brought in. There's an indoor soccer program that lasts several weeks, so I ran 2 of those, and then same thing with the volleyball clinic. One thing to mention with indoor open skate, we had pretty high numbers this year, but the Hockey Association asked if they could just take it over next year. It's not a huge deal for us, and it takes a little bit of stress off of my job in the winter, so I think next year the Hockey Association will just have that as their own, so we won't be reporting on any indoor open skate next year. Pickleball was interesting. Obviously, they're trying to play as much pickleball as possible. I think everybody in town knows that right now. So we're trying to give them as much access as we can to Oak Avenue in the winter. And we ran some numbers from 22 to 23 to 24. And each year, it's participation and revenue has doubled from people coming just for drop-in fees or paying memberships, and participation too, because we keep the price the same. So that's good, and we trying to get them 7 days a week if we can. Let's see, Vandahay Waters, way into the planning stages for that. A lot of employees are returning, which is amazing. That's the best news ever, actually. Probably hire about 10 lifeguards. So I'll have to run another class, possibly 2 before summer starts. I've been interviewing several of the new lifeguards already, and then I'll start interviewing for attendance after everybody's spring breaks are done between Columbus and public school. There'll be an orientation in May, and then we'll open in early June. We have not set a release date yet, just because I want to solidify a lot of things first. And then we're working with the Community Foundation and other organizations like similar to the Ronald McDonald House on giving them access to the pool for the summer, because obviously they would benefit from that greatly. The Red Cross had some updates for lifeguards and lifeguard instructors. So all the new lifeguards will learn on a little bit different class, but it's not too bad. And I already did the update for instructors. The summer brochure is really close to going to print, so we're waiting on 1 copy to get back, and then once we send that one in, so hopefully within a week or 2 we get the summer brochure, and I'll let you know. And then for WPRA, I'm on the aquatics board, so we're hosting a seminar here at the high school in the end of March, March 29th. That's all I got.
A lot of stuff on here that you went over too. Anybody have questions? Okay. Thanks, Amanda. Are you covering Nikki?
Yeah, she's out this week with at a conference for tourism for the state of Wisconsin. She doesn't have much to report. Ice rinks obviously going down. Cabin fever was in March. On February, Blueberry Hike took place in February. That was that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, kind of one of the coldest stints we actually had, and it just happened to be the only time we actually ran an outdoor event, so it's kind of ironic that it happened at that point. She does have her entertainment lined up for the Friday night concert series, as well as the various presenters or entertainers, whatever you want to call them, for Wild Wednesdays zoo events that take place in the summer on Wednesdays. So she has been busy getting that all coordinated.
Randy, did you want to mention something about the luminary hikes? I know Nikki's not here, but.
And I told Nikki she did a great job.
Okay.
It was a wonderful 3 nights. I was there every day. I started about 3 o'clock. I go back after dark, so I walk it during the daylight, walk it at night, and it was great. And Sunday was really nice because it was busy. And Jay with the food truck, he should have done okay Saturday and Sunday. So she got a lot of nice compliments. The park was in great shape.
Cool.
Good.
Thanks. Thanks,
Nice
Randy.
fires, a lot of communication, people talking and hanging around. So it was good.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so we are on to, are you covering Ben too for Parks, Forestry, and Zoo?
No, Amy is. I guess I will.
Athletics, ordering supplies.
I mentioned in an earlier staff meeting, we're quite in a conundrum here from Parks' perspective, because if you walked outside right now, you'd think it was May 25th and summer should be starting, and it's really not. And at any point, the weather could change quite a bit, and it could be snowing and freezing rain and sub below zero for quite a length of time. We got to continue to remember that as a staff, that it's not summer and winter is still here, and it could rear its ugly head. So, we have athletic teams, softball teams, baseball teams outside practicing. We have tennis people that want to get outside. We have things that people are chiming to get out there. We have to be careful. We set up batting cages earlier one year, and we got a heavy snowstorm, and it was April, so it wasn't like super late, and the batting cages completely collapsed, and we lost all of the cages as well as the poles, and it was down for at least a couple months. So even during the baseball season, they didn't even have batting cages because of that. So we have to be careful on when we can put up some of these things, because we don't want Mother Nature to ruin them. So we are kind of slowly opening up park facilities, and our athletics people are out there working right now, slowly getting things ready, but we also know that it could be cold. And I think the forecast next week calls for a few days in the 30s, so those teams will probably be going inside for their practices. SJ Mueller's tennis nets are up. Ice rink is going to be picked up. Special event is Rotary Winter Wonderland. It's all wrapped up. Obviously, there's no ice removal with this great weather. Let's see, moving down to forestry. I really don't need to talk about forestry. Mark did an excellent job with his presentation. Zoo, really there's no update at all, other than we did lose Thunder, and I think most of you were aware of that. We do have the Be the Bunny event that's coming up on April 6th, which is always a really fun event to do. And that's all I got for Ben.
Any questions? Go ahead.
So I did have a mom ask me, you guys are going to be like, here's Natasha again. A mom asked me, because the weather has been so good, when they go to Wildwood, the bathrooms are still closed, and I know we have to talk about winterization of the pipes and all of that. So do we have like a open date for those?
Usually we target around May 1st.
May 1st, okay.
That's a target date on normal winters. We could open them today and have them winterized, and then we have a month of some below freezing, which is not uncommon either. And we have busted pipes, and then we have a lot of costs, and then those will be closed when they should really be open. So we try to avoid that. I know it's uncomfortable, and that's why I say it's not easy for us, because we'd like to open up everything and have everything be summer-like, but it's
we don't want
March
ice.
12th.
Yeah.
And that, I've never had a winter like this.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember. I'm sure there has been, but I believe one.
You're 70 years, you can't remember?
I know, right? Well, I'm 70, I can't remember yesterday. So, we're probably gonna be opening up everything early.
Okay.
Just,
We can kind of give a May 1st kind of
Yeah.
window, but
And-
maybe a little.
if the weather continues, there's a probably good chance that Ben's gonna have most of it open by April 1st.
Okay.
You know, but the weather could shift and be 30s for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and there's no reason to get back up, so. Yeah, ideally, it'd be nice just to have that switch, but since we do winterize them, because they're winterized, they freeze at night, over the summer, winter, sorry, I can't talk. They do get winterized over the winter.
They get winterized
Open them up
over the
with
summer.
Freeze pipes, and we want to avoid that. We do have some heat in there, but I'm not sure if it would sustain it for longer periods of time. So, yeah, I know it's uncomfortable for some kids, but.
Good question, though. Anybody else? Okay. Amy, you're up with cemetery.
All right, let's see, so I wasn't here last month. Between January and February, we had 18 burials. With the unseasonably warm weather, Marshfield Monument's actually been up placing some stones already this spring. We did sign and return a contract to Cold Springs for the new columbarium, which should arrive in the fall, will arrive in the fall. And Nikolai Construction came and poured concrete for the placement of the new columbarium. And I think you guys all know we closed the cemetery office a little over a month ago. There was some vermiculite up in the ceiling, which was used for insulation years ago. And some of that was kind of coming through the vents and things. So a company called Mabel came in and they removed the ceiling and they removed the boards that were kind of infected with it. And then our staff put plastic up, and then just this past week, staff's been putting the ceiling back in. So that's almost finished. We're hoping, hopefully next week we can open the actual office back up again.
Cool. Questions for Amy? Okay, thanks, Amy. Justin, Director.
Corp, we already touched on, Gray Park pickleball contracts were accepted last night at the Common Council meeting. The budget resolution was also approved. We got a $400,000 donation from the pickleball users. So I want to thank them for their efforts and their hard work, and then all of the various businesses as well as individuals who donated to the project. It is truly a community effort here, so thank you to everyone. Softball, we are out to bid right now for replacing that softball field at Brame. It won't actually get replaced till after the season, so sometime in August they'll start. But we want to get the bids solidified so that contractor knows their work ahead of schedule. I've been working with the Fairgrounds Commission as well as the Central Wisconsin State Fair on some design plans for the expo building. They're looking to finish that up probably this month, early part of next month, and then do presentations to the Common Council. I'll share those plans with you. They're conceptual plans just to give people ideas and cost estimating, just to give you an idea of what it would cost to do a building like that, and then the various groups, whether it's the council, the county, or board, the fair board itself, or the commission, can do what they want with it. The money for that project came from a grant from the Wood County, so Wood County helped pay for that cost to hire the consultant to do the design plans. Wenzel restrooms should be finished up in the next 30 days with design, and then we'll hopefully go out to bid right away and try to get those bathrooms up as soon as possible. And then CIP, which is our capital improvement program, that plan is done for our department. It's been submitted, and hopefully review, and it goes well through the evaluation process. We just, as a city, I don't know if everyone knows how the process is. We have a allotted certain amount of money. Let's just say it's $5 million. We got to fit all those projects in that $5 million threshold. So some projects are either shifted forward, backwards, or even just delayed or deleted altogether. So it's a kind of a puzzle that the city has to put together on a 5-year plan. And sometimes we lose projects, sometimes we don't. But I'm not the only department that loses projects. All departments kind of have to do their job and kind of move things back and forth. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Something I failed to mention is project, they wanted lights, we had an alternate that was not accepted because we couldn't afford the lights. They need about another $80,000 to install the lights. We'll have the provisions there to install the lights. We'll have the light bases as well as the conduit ran, but actually no poles and no light fixtures. That's the $80,000 amount. Not uncommon for projects to go like that. We can add the poles and lights later. Probably not this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after, but next few years we'll probably have to go back out to bid for some lights to be installed as part of that project. So the pickleball people are still out looking for donors and looking for donations to finalize that last segment. They may consider also doing more fundraising in the park as the pavilion might be an addition that they might consider. The pavilion itself will be like an open-air pavilion, similar to what we have at the pool, that one that kind of over by where you eat. It'll be that kind of style, and then that'll be located close to the pickleball courts, so that when they do tournaments or those large events, they can use that shelter for part of their tournament operations.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So we're on to Parks, Recreation, Forestry. Are there any items for future agendas?
Nope.
Natasha, fire away. Don't be so timid.
Well, I was wondering is if as a group, with the help of Parks and Rec, if we could, this is sort of like a long-term planning thing, but I'm wondering if we could all do it together, of looking at the feasibility and all the steps that would be required to get some sort of safe route, bike route to Madison School and the high school. And we kind of looked at that a little bit before, but then we lost our planning staff and things like that. And it's very possible it might just be an on-street thing, which would not be very expensive. Just sort of but anyhow, as a group to sort of look at that and to say, like, what would steps be? Because is this something that's important? Is it necessary? Just to ask all those questions and along with staff and just say, like, is this something that we can plan and work on together?
Can we add that as a future agenda item?
We can, I think one of the larger components will be the engineering staff who design this type of infrastructure. They design transportation infrastructure. So, and in the planning, I think Bryce did update the Safe Routes to School plan. I don't know how old it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And then there's the bike ped plan also that was done. So I'm going to say there's a couple of planning documents. We would be more in design or conceptual ideas. We won't be able to take it very far because it wouldn't be an engineering type project.
Or even maybe reporting back and saying, if this was to happen, these are the steps that these departments would need to do. Like, for instance, our Safe Routes to Schools doesn't have Madison School and high school in the plan. But I know our new economic development director has done Safe Routes to Schools before.
Did you say Madison School and the high school?
And the high school.
Okay, yeah.
One of the challenges is like in whatever department it's called, development services and community development, they're short-staffed. They have been significantly short-staffed for probably 2 years plus. So they'll probably do a little bit of catch-up. And engineering currently has been without an engineer for at least 6 months, if close to a year. And they do all the design of our road projects internal, so they're actually behind in their work too. So not sure where you throw this at them in the planning process because they're probably still playing catch up and they're not at full staff yet. So I would say if this year is a kind of a target, maybe in 2024 we kind of, rather than the next few months, because I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure they'd be willing or wanting or have even time to consider this type of stuff.
Even if it was just a presentation of, because you've done this before, but just to say, hey, if we were to do this, these are the steps we would need to do. We would need to update this plan. Just so we had a sense of, hey, is this something we'd want to take on?
Yeah.
Right.
Should we put it on the agenda and at least talk about it?
Yeah, we can put it on the agenda maybe for an update, and then
Yep.
I can consult with the Public Works Director as well as the Community Development Director.
Cool. Okay, anything else? All right. With nothing else on the agenda, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Guys, we did not set a record.